To start with, you're gonna make a ball of clay just like we'd start every pinch pot. Spend a little bit of time though in making sure that any wrinkles or folds on the outside of your ball are gone. So it's easier if you start with a very smooth, even ball first. Then you're gonna make your pinch pot, and this one we can leave kind of thicker because you're gonna be pushing and pulling and denting and warping it to make it look like a skull, to go from sort of a ball shape to a skull shape. The other thing that I'm doing is I don't want like a really wide pinch pot. I want to kind of keep it tight at the top, so I'm kind of pinching it this way so that my hole or my opening does not get too big. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of run my thumb around on the inside to kind of stretch that out and make that as close as I can get it to like a sphere. Okay. Some of my favorite words to say, sphere. But that doesn't look like a skull yet, does it? So I'm looking at this skull, and it's not round, right? It's got sort of bulbous on this end. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna push my thumb on the inside, and because I've left it kind of thin, I have a lot of clay that I can work with to kind of push that out and make that more rounded. Now I know that it's got to come kind of, I'm going to have some dents. So I'm going to have some dents on the side. So I'm looking at this skull, and I got a few dents on the side, and then I'm going to have a couple of dents that I'm going to push in for my eyeballs. And then right under my eyeballs, there's more dents. Can you see me doing this? So there's more dents right under the eyeballs, and then it kind of comes down, and it's got this is the section where I'm going to put the teeth. So my jaw comes out like that, right? And I've got these dents that come under here, and then I've got a dent behind the eyeball, and a dent behind that eyeball, and then the jaw kind of comes down like that. Now, what you can also do is, if you're having trouble and your skull keeps collapsing, one thing that you can do, I'm going to pull up a little bit of clay right there for its nose, and then I'll go back in and kind of dent that in, and I'm going to use my fingernail to kind of exaggerate that opening for the eye. And then I had this tool, one of these tools, and I went through and made little teeth. Okay. Now, a sugar skull is not a realistic skull. It's an abstracted skull, which means it's been simplified or exaggerated. So it does not look like a realistic skull. This is a fairly accurate representation of a realistic skull. You can try and make your skull realistic if you want, but you could also simplify it to something, you know. So my point is, your skull doesn't have to look realistic, but you'll have a better end product if you are looking at an actual skull rather than just trying to pull that idea out of your head. So if you're having trouble, once you start doing this, if your whole thing is like feeling like it's going to collapse, what you can do is get some newspaper and make yourself a ball, and you can stuff the inside. That way, if you need to dent from the inside out, that paper will help push against it. We don't want to leave the paper in there because it'll get kind of moldy. So we want to make sure we take it out before we're done. But that took me, less than 5 minutes, and I'm like 90% done, right? So definitely, I think this week we could get it done. What I am going to do is I'm going to let this get leather hard. So those are my 2 skulls for today. I'm going to let this get leather hard, and then I'll go back with tools later and start sculpting and then drawing my design for my sugar skull in there. Cool? I forgot to do the intro. Oh no, it's okay, it's fine. All right. Okay, get to work.